Imagine a world on the brink of a new millennium, a world buzzing with excitement about technology, the internet, and space exploration. A time when humanity was dreaming bigger than ever, looking toward the stars. But in the shadows of this bright, modern age, a small group of people believed the stars were not just something to look at, but a destination. They believed salvation was waiting for them, not on Earth, but aboard a spacecraft trailing a comet. In March 1997, the world woke to the news of one of the strangest, most chilling mass deaths in modern history. 39 people, dressed identically in black uniforms and Nike sneakers, were found dead inside a mansion in California. Their faces calm, their beds neatly made, as if they were waiting to board a ship to the heavens. This is the story of Heaven's Gate, one of the most bizarre and haunting mysteries of our time. The story begins in the early 1970s, a time when America was restless and searching. The Vietnam War had shaken trust in authority, and people were looking for new paths, new truths, and new leaders. And in this atmosphere, two unlikely figures met. Marshall Applewhite, a Texas music teacher with piercing eyes and a troubled soul, and Bonnie Nettles, a nurse with a deep interest in astrology and mysticism.
It's a miracle to finally meet you.
They quickly bonded over their shared belief that they were not just human, but a spiritual elite. Applewhite, with his intense gaze and persuasive voice, believed he was chosen by higher beings. Nettles, the calm, mystical guide, reinforced his visions. They preached a strange new faith, a blend of Christianity, science fiction, and UFO mythology. They believed that they were a part of a cosmic battle between good and evil, and people believed. In the early years, the cult was a small, spiritual group with a loose, decentralized structure. The members were encouraged to live a simple life, with a focus on spiritual growth and self-improvement. For them, they were a part of a cosmic battle between good and evil. As the cult grew in size, its structure became more rigid and hierarchical, with Applewhite and Nettles at the top. They began to believe that they were the two witnesses from the Bible, and they began to refer to themselves as the two. The members were encouraged to give up their possessions and their families, and to dedicate their lives to the cult. As the years passed, their message evolved. They told people the earth was doomed, and only those who shared their human attachments could ascend to the next level of existence. By the 1980s, the group had taken the name Heaven's Gate. Their followers lived under strict rules. No sex, no alcohol, no individuality. They wore the same clothes, ate the same meals, shaved their heads to look alike. They even gave up their old names for new, coded ones. To them, this was not a cult. This was training. Training to shed their human vehicles and transform into higher, immortal beings. The group lived simply and strictly. They cut themselves off from the outside world. They gave up money, careers, and even gender. Some members underwent castration to prove their commitment to transcending the physical body.
This is for your purification.
In their eyes, the body was only a vehicle, a temporary shell. The real self was the spirit inside, destined for transformation.
The body is only a shell, a container.
We are not these bodies. We are beyond them.
And when the time came, they believed they would shed their earthly vehicles and be taken to a spacecraft that would carry them to the next level. But when Nettles died in 1985, the group was shaken. She was supposed to ascend with them. Her death forced Applewhite to twist the doctrine. Physical death, he said, was only the beginning. They would leave their human bodies behind to join her. Inside the cult's rented houses, life was quiet, almost ordinary. Members worked on computers, ran a web design business, and lived with military-like discipline. But beneath the calm routine, they believed every day was one step closer to their departure. For decades, the group remained obscure, hidden from the public eye. But in 1997, their beliefs collided with a cosmic event that would seal their fate. Astronomers announced that the bright Hale-Bopp comet would soon pass Earth. To the world, it was a celestial wonder. To Heaven's Gate, it was the sign they had been waiting for. They believed a spacecraft was hiding in the comet's tail, ready to take them to the next level. That year, the comet Hale-Bopp became visible from Earth, a bright, blazing light streaking across the heavens. For Heaven's Gate, this was no coincidence. They became convinced that a spacecraft was traveling behind the comet, invisible to the world, but destined to pick them up.
The time has come. Our mission's complete. To reach the spacecraft, we must exit our human vehicles.
These are your boarding procedures.
Applewhite told his followers the time had come. Their mission on Earth was over. To board the ship, they would have to exit their human vehicles. And so, in March 1997, the group prepared for their journey. They rented a mansion in Rancho Santa Fe, California. Inside, they carried out their plan with eerie precision. They recorded farewell videos, calmly explaining that they were not dying, but moving on to a higher existence. Each member wore the same uniform: black shirts, black pants, and brand new black sneakers. Each carried a small bag and a purple shroud to cover themselves after death. They consumed a lethal mix of barbiturates and alcohol, calmly laying down in bunk beds. They covered themselves with their shrouds, row by row, group by group. Marshall Applewhite, their leader, was among the last. On March 26, 1997, when authorities entered the mansion days later, they were stunned. 39 bodies lying peacefully as if asleep. No struggle, no chaos, just silence. A scene that looked less like death and more like a departure. News of the mass suicide shocked the world, becoming the largest in US history. A suicide not in secrecy, but in ritual.
39 dead in UFO cult suicide.
The mystery of the Heaven's Gate cult remains a chilling reminder of the dangers of fanaticism.
2 decades later, the questions still linger.
Was it brainwashing, mass delusion?
Or something deeper, Hal? The search for meaning in a fractured world?
Convinced they were boarding a ship hidden behind a comet. Who were these people? They were not desperate or uneducated. Many were intelligent, skilled professionals, programmers, artists, nurses. Yet they had willingly followed their leader, Marshall Applewhite, to their deaths. Media coverage was relentless, showing haunting images of bodies covered in purple shrouds and the identical sneakers that became a grim symbol of the tragedy. Shock, disbelief, and a dark fascination spread like wildfire. The question echoed everywhere. Why? Was it brainwashing, mass delusion, or a desperate search for meaning that led them to that final, fatal decision? In the years since, Heaven's Gate has remained both a warning and a mystery. Was it simply manipulation by a charismatic leader? Today, their website still exists, maintained by former members, a haunting digital relic of a group that chose to leave the world behind. The comet has long since faded, but the story of Heaven's Gate remains, an eternal reminder of how far belief can carry us and how devastating the cost can be when faith blinds us to reality. More than 2 decades later, the mystery of Heaven's Gate remains chilling. 39 people believed they were not dying, but leaving behind a flawed world for a higher plane. But the truth is darker. They gave up their lives for a promise that could never be proven, a promise hidden behind the stars. And that is the haunting case of Heaven's Gate, a case that reminds us of the fragile line between belief and obsession, between hope and tragedy. Because when faith blinds reason, even the brightest comet can lead us into the darkest night. If you were captivated by this story, please like this video and share it with others who love a good mystery. And don't forget to subscribe to Cinematic Dark Tales so you never miss our next video.